We receive a lot of questions about pine management, and this is an example of doing pine management right. Now, a few years ago, this pine stand was thinned to about 60 basal feet per acre, and then all the hardwood saplings come up, and then it was treated with an imazapyr-based chemistry. I think they used arsenal in this one, and now they're getting ready to do a burn next year. So all these hardwood saplings you see are dead. The pines are letting ample sunlight down. You look behind me, you see big patches of sun, some shade, of course, because of the pine canopies. And after this next fire, well, this would be grasses and forbs. This would be beautiful pine habitat for white-tailed deer, turkey, quail, called a pine savanna. A lot of people, when they do their first thinning, the pines are much thicker than this. They thin maybe one row and do a little reaching around. They don't thin it quite enough to get enough sun down to create high quality wildlife habitat. And there's trade-offs to that from the pine financial side. So if you thin it a little thinner like this is, each tree is growing quicker because there's no competition on the canopy. If you leave them closer together, it's true you have more pines to thin 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, but each pine tree will be a little bit smaller. And of course, bigger pines tend to yield more money per ton. Or if you can cut a 2x6 or a 2x8, that tree is more valuable than a tree you can only cut a 2x4 out of. So this particular landowner's like me, he's really interested in wildlife, and the timber value is a secondary. It's important, but it's secondary. So again, they've thinned, took a bunch of wood out of here the first time, and then they've treated this stand with an imazapyr-based herbicide, take all this hardwood competition out. If they didn't, come June, it'd be so thick you couldn't see through here. And of course, all those hardwoods are competing with the pines for nutrients and water. In addition, they of course shade out, so there wouldn't be all those grasses and forbs. And when you have a bunch of hardwood saplings shading out the ground, it won't hardly carry a fire, so you can't keep that habitat in an early successional stage or prime deer and turkey habitat. So just a beautiful example. It's before spring green up, so you're not seeing everything right now, but a beautiful example of good pine management where wildlife has a slightly stronger value to the landowner than income from the pines. There's still income from the pines here, but much elevated wildlife value. I'm sure when folks see this video, they're gonna say, oh my gosh, what are these volunteer pines? Well, they're so small. And knowing that this landowner has scheduled a burn for next year, they're so small that they will be girdled by the heat of the fire, and a prescribed fire will take these out. Now, some foresters, some guys like to use Escort or other herbicides to control these, but when you use those herbicides, you take out a lot of grasses and forbs that are really beneficial for wildlife also. So it's better to just work on the hardwood saplings and use prescribed fire, which is much more natural and almost always costs less than a herbicide application. Everyone loves hardwoods. I love hardwood habitat, but if you're starting with a young stand of hardwoods, they are very difficult to manage. There's not a herbicide you can use like you can imazapyr and pines to control all the competition. You can't burn hardwoods as hot to set back like all these pine saplings or some of the other stuff in here that you want to set back to keep it in early successional habitat. So if you own property or thinking about purchasing a property that's in pines, don't feel like you missed a wildlife boat, because pines are very easy to manage to be very productive wildlife habitat and add some income from the property. Learn about how to manage timber stands is a great way to enjoy creation, but even more importantly, I hope you take time to study and learn the Creator's will for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.